the question, did that happen, begs the question, what do you mean by happen? Because when you are dealing with fundamental realities and you pose a question, you have to understand that the reality of the concepts of your question, when you're digging that deep, are just as questionable as what you're questioning.
I think we can all give it to Jordan Peterson that he's a very good wordsmith. The way he throws a question to counter another question without never understanding or giving an explanation about the question. It seems like when he does this, he doesn't have the answer. According to him, the simple phrase, did that happen? It begs you to ask the question, what did you mean? And him can find layers and more question about the simple phrase, did that happen? He's trying to do some kind of mental gymnastic thing where every time you try to have an intellectual conversation with him, he refuses to just answer the simple, grounded, basic question of did that happen, which if you do answer it, it would lead to just a simple yes or no. And the way Jordan Peterson got famous, it is because in some ways he looked down on the people that use education or higher academics as a shield when talking with the common person who didn't go to college, are just poor, are just not as intellectual vast as they think they are. And here him is doing the same thing he doesn't like about that group of people who think they are so smart and intellectual, more favored. So it kind of surprised me that the whole day me can sit down with Jordan Peterson for an hour or even 30 minutes and we really do not talk about nothing of substance. The entire argument is going around in a circle. What did you mean? It cannot just be simple, defined. It seems like talking to him, I need to have the Oxford Dictionary and break down each individual sentence of its definition before we can even have a conversation. Because me and you talking is like a trap to him. So, him just don't want to say anything.
You know, you might say, well, I just want to be happy. And first question is, what the hell do you mean by happy? Do you mean extroverted? Do you mean full of positive emotion? Do you mean you're not suffering? Do you mean you're calm? Like, what the hell do you mean happy? So what might you want in?
So what I'm getting from Jordan Peterson is, if you use the phrase, I just want to be happy, me cannot understand it because I need you to break down every increment, every word crumble, every word found in the sentence, I just want to be happy. And I need to come back to you is, what do you mean by you just want to be happy? You need to tell me if you need to be happy in every micro to large scale sentence of the example of your emotional intelligence, your emotional mind, your emotional vibration, just to tell me you want to be happy. Because the meaning and the definition of happiness, each individual person, I need to trace the goal of what is going to make you happy. I cannot just take the sentence as it is and just say, oh, you want to be happy. You need to break it down, every fund, every syllable, to explain it on the micro level of the happiness that you are looking for. Without you doing that, we can't have a conversation. First, you need to tell me the meaning of happiness. Then you need to break down every single thing that could possibly make you happy. If you cannot do that, the sentence, I just want to be happy, according to Jordan Peterson, makes no sense and just stand there in a vacuum. We no longer understand the word of its simplicity. It needs its definition, and you need to attach your morality of your happiness before we can have this conversation. Because you just saying you want to be happy. I don't understand.
So do you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition.
How is that circular?
Because you added no content.
So if I ask you, do you believe in the all-knowing, omnipotent Father, which is up in the sky, I need to break down what is belief, because belief is so simplistic. And after you break down what your definition of belief is, would you believe it to be true, you are now adding a circular definition. You are now adding a circular definition to believe, and to believe it is true. We can't just have a simple conversation. And what is this great big mystery for him cannot articulate the Christian belief, which has been drifting off that side of the population and using them to enrich himself, which I have no problem with way more right there. So, but the individual word of belief, and you believe in it to be true, that's not the definition. How much definitions do I need for belief? Do I need to break down belief on each individual human being in the world? That's like what? 8 or 9 billion people. So I have to go to, when having this conversation and using the word belief, I need to find the definitional meaning to every single person in the world and ask, what is your truth? What do you believe to be real? Before the question of what do you believe in the Father, which is in the sky, heaven, before you can answer the question. We need to find every single person. Jordan.
You understand, surely, that when somebody asks, do you believe in God, although they're asking the sort of subject of the belief is a much more grand entity, the word belief itself, they mean something much more mundane.
It's hard to know what people mean. You know, like one of the things I've noticed, for example, is the Christian trolls, when they ask that question, and it's often the Christian trolls who ask that question, what they mean is, are you in my club?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And my answer.
So you think asking the question, do you believe in Christianity, is them asking you, are you in that club? And I think nothing is wrong with the question, because if you know what you are about, if you are in the club, are you not in the club, what is the bad thing of stating your views and your stand about what you believe in, or as the guy said, believe to be true? What is this great mystery of you? Are you a Christian? Are you an atheist? What is the big mystery for you cannot explain to us? What is your stand? Where you stand 10 toes down, and you know, when you see it as or not as, just stand 10 toes down on it. Just be a man. Just tell we a hard truth. As simple as that. What is the big rigmarole you put in everybody through? Just stand 10 toes down on it. As simple as that.
You know what's so funny about Jordan Peterson is he blew up making fun of trans girls and like college kids for identifying as different races and identifying as wolves. This nigga doesn't even know what he identifies as. Is he bi Christian? Is he bi-theist? What do they call it when you're like on the fence? Is he a Christian they? You know what it really is he believes in Judeo-Christian values. Like he's supposed to talk about traditional values, but he has no, where does the tradition come from? How is he even a representative of conservative values? Like, what do you even believe in, bro?
And I honestly think what Sneeko said is the crux of the argument. Because it is very weird to even be agreeing with Sneeko. But that is the crux of the argument, because he has so many viewpoints that he can never stand 10 toes on it. I don't know if it's because he's with the Daily Wire and they're more Jewish or something, so him being on the show saying that he's a Christian maybe rub Ben Sharpman the wrong way. I'm not sure, but from what I am getting, he's a bi-Christian, bi-religious, trans everything. I don't see how he's the person who's holding up Christian values in the Christian evangelist grouping over here, because he doesn't believe in it. And I think the reason why he refused to say anything, I don't think he believes in the Bible, and he knows that if he says that out and give his true feelings, it might affect him monetarily, because most of the people around him is seeing him as, oh, this person who stand up for Western belief, and a big part of Western belief is Jesus Christ, and he refused to say it. He cannot say it. What do you mean by that?
The question, did that happen, begs the question, what do you mean by happen? Because when you are dealing with fundamental realities and you pose a question, you have to understand that the reality of...
I just had to put back that piece in. If my boss come and he or she asks me what happened yesterday, seeing that I wasn't here, I would look her in the face and say to her, what do you mean? Because you asking did what happened yesterday begs me to ask you back, what do you mean? If you're asking, if she asks, did you paint the room? I would ask, what is the meaning and the definition you're trying to ask me on the basis of the room being painted or not painted in a vague vacuum? Because I do not understand the question, did I paint the room? What do you mean by did? What did you mean by paint? And what did you mean by room? If you can't place your individual definition of each word, I cannot answer the question about the room, which it is there, or if the room is not there. I don't understand. What do you mean? Did I paint the room?